Yeah, this is what I have.
That's good.
I got the little diagram. Well, I'm gonna assign numbers.
It's your problem. It's your program. Do what you gotta do. If it goes wrong, it's over. But it's gonna go right. It's gonna go right. I know you have it nice.
I've had like a person, but not, yes. Well, I think once a year, I thought I had to do it.
Okay, does everyone have a board packet?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Are you set now to go?
Yes.
Miss Adams, are you the clerk now?
No, ma'am.
What are you doing over there?
I can't be over here. We got cameras that go everywhere.
Come over here, what are you supposed to
Oh,
do?
yes, ma'am. Since you insist, you just
I
want
wanna
to sit.
sit
You did
beside
take care of
you.
the recording, though, it is recording. Thank you.
Are you recording for her?
You just want me to sit back here. Okay.
Yes, I do. You give me strength.
Lord, you me.
Okay. Teresa, you ready?
Yes.
The Benton Harbor Brownfield redevelopment will now be called to order. October the 9th.
10th.
Roll call. Let us see what,
It's the
October
10th.
10th. Oh, y'all know what day it is.
Sam Hudson. James Childs.
Here.
Ivy Chandler. Emma Kennard. Miguel Clark.
Here.
Emma Hall.
Here?
Mary Alice Adams.
Present.
Satana Warren.
Present.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Review of minutes of September the 12th, 2024. Motion to approve.
I so move.
Support.
Motion, second.
Was that support Warren?
Any discussions, questions, concerns about the minutes on September the 12th, 2024? Any corrections? Hearing none, roll call.
Warren.
Yes.
Adams.
Yes.
Hull.
Yes.
Clark.
Yes.
Kennard.
Yes.
Childs.
Yes.
Motion carries 6-0.
Thank you. Communications. Teresa?
This is a clarification I needed. Member Clark, you had asked last month, we had talked about some interest rates of the authority's accounts. And during that discussion, you had asked if information from the city could be provided to the board. So are you just looking for what interest rates the city has on their accounts? Can you just provide some clarification on what you requested come back to the board?
The meeting prior to that, before that meeting, intern city manager as Little had mentioned something about rates. So I was just asking about did he send you that information about bank rates?
So the interest rates for the city bank accounts?
Yeah,
Okay.
had mentioned something about he would share that information with you.
Mr. Little, is that something that you can present, the interest rates that the city has on their bank accounts?
I don't have it with me presently, but we can have it for the next meeting.
Okay, great.
Yes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think, was it a question because I had it as well? Are we getting the greater
Mhm.
as it relates to the interest rates? Or do we need to start looking or having some type of discussion with them to work with us?
Right. So part of it is based on how much money is in each account. So I would make sure you're comparing the rates and not necessarily how much interest was earned. I do know that for your accounts, the current rates you have are greater than the banking systems you used previously. So it sounds like Mr. Little can provide that information. We'll bring it back to the board next month.
Thank you.
And if I might, just for clarification, when I brought that up, it was because, as I mentioned to you, I'm on the board of the Joint Sewage Board, and we've had some significant amounts that were invested. Michigan class has typically been paying interest as high as 5%. That has been nearly matched or matched by several institutions also. I've got a complete document from Michigan class that I'll be forwarding to Ms. Searles, and I'll also get for you the city's information, and we'll have it by the next meeting.
Thank you. Anything else? All right, hearing none. Next is public comments. This portion of the public comments is open. State your name and address after the podium and state your comments. Public comments is open. No public comments. Public comments portion are closed. Committee reports, none. Treasury reports. Finance report from Frank Moran. Teresa?
So this September financial report is in your packet. It's also up here on the board. So the checking account balance was $408,881.70. There's a little bit in there for winter 23 tax capture. The money market account has $512,178.48. I did want to point out the summer tax receivable, about $309,715.51. It's pretty accurate. It's listed as a receivable here, but Rhonda Hildebrand will be running those reports again just to make sure there's not any slight changes to that before that deposit is actually made. So I'll have that finalized information next month. So total assets are just above 1.2 million. Accounts payable, we have 4532. And if we move on to the statement of income and expense, the next page, we see that property tax revenue again. Interest for September was earned $627.70. So our total income was $310,343.21. Expenses in here are $550 for Plant Moran and $39.82 for Fishbeck.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Need a second?
Second.
Concerns, questions? Hearing none, roll call.
Warren,
Yes.
Adams,
Yes.
Hull,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Kennard,
Yes.
Childs.
Yes.
Motion carries 6-0.
Payable listings.
We have 2 invoices on our payables listing. We have $550 invoice for Plant Moran for August financial statements and August advisory services from Fishbeck for $39.82, which totals $4,532.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Second.
Any questions, concerns about the payable listings? Hearing none, roll call. Hearing none, roll call.
Warren? Warren?
Yeah. Yes.
Adams?
Yes.
Hull?
Yes.
Clark?
Yes.
Kennard?
Yes.
Childs.
Yes.
Motion carries 6-0.
Whole business. King Courthouse and Development.
There's no attachment for this in your packet. There's no action needed. Essentially, we did finally receive the updated information that the assessor requested. It wasn't in time for preparing that evaluation for this board meeting. So the assessor has just finished her evaluation. Fishbeck's going to run our TIF modeling. I will have that for you next month. Just as a reminder, this board did feel like there was value in doing this exercise, not only for this development, but to give you an idea of what housing development projects, especially on a smaller scale in your community, would look like. So I'll have an update for you next month on that.
This is about Project T.
No, this is item H1 under old business, the Kings Court housing development.
Next. Any questions, concerns on that?
I got a question. Teresa, what was the last time that you talked to Ms. King?
Do I have it in here when she provided that? Basically, she got us this information. It was September 30th. So I think, let me see when board packets went out. Yeah, so I mean, I had let her know that essentially I needed that information by the 26th if we were able to do our calculations in time to get it in the packet. And it wasn't received in time. So I think the 30th was the last. She did try to reach out after that. I sent her an email back saying we received it, but it won't be on this month's agenda because we need to do the calculations.
It was.
Okay, yeah.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It was August, our last meeting. I think that Mr. Hudson was here. And I thought that we had determined then that there would be no more communication without our approval with this project. What are we going to do? Because some of those had dates on them for completion. And I couldn't believe it when I saw it. But
Oh, of when the rehab will be completed?
yeah,
I mean, if you move forward with the brownfield plant, which essentially right now we're just doing the evaluation portion.
okay.
So if you got to that stage and you move forward with the brownfield plan, you would capture that types of information in your development agreement.
Okay, so I guess that's what we were talking about, because just for an evaluation shouldn't be costing this authority the prices that's coming before us.
There's been very little discussion in the last month because we've been waiting on what the assessor requested.
Okay, this has, I mean, I don't know what's going on now, but this has never happened in times past. But if a developer has any questions, they come and approach the authority so that everything is transparent and we know what's going on, and we wouldn't be having this discussion about prices. And not just Ms. King, but anybody else as well.
I don't think there was a question from the developer. This board instructed me to work with the assessor to establish future taxable value. And the assessor had questions on the development. She needed a little bit more detail in order for her to have an accurate anticipated future taxable value. So that's what we've been waiting on, is just getting that additional information back. The assessor has since done her calculations. I just got those, I want to say yesterday, a couple days ago, because she just got the information herself, so.
Ms. King seems to think that she's eligible for some upfront money on the development before she puts in the amount. So does she understand that she's got to put in before she can get out?
We've had several conversations about that. I know she did initially, was hoping to get some upfront costs.
Yeah.
We talked about that at this point in time. What the board has talked about supporting would be reimbursement through a brownfield plan.
Yes, but is it in Act 381 where she can get some upfront money? Is it in the Act?
This board could use their LBRF funds to do that. I think you would have to decide, does it align with your mission? Does that help economic development? Does that help create a sustainable program? That would be something in the past this board has decided. And when we went through those housing development policy guidelines, we said that the primary tool would be a brownfield plan. Because if you keep handing that money out without a way to get it back, then before long you don't have it. So it's possible, just not likely.
The only thing I think
And if I could, please.
about this board and anybody else, we're here to spur development. We don't want to stop, slow it down, or stop people from doing what they need to do. But we must concur with Act 381, and so we must be sensible about how we put it out, how we do it. And like Commissioner said, if we can do it across the board, we will. But if we can't, we can't. So we want to help the developers as much as we can, because Benton Harbor is on the move. And we want to get housing here. We need housing. We need development. We need all we can get here. So we can do all we can to help them, but we're not going to put on no orange suits to help nobody. Thank you.
If I could.
Before you start though, there's something that we've been working on for years now. And I think that hopefully Mr. Little is going to touch base on it, because we've been holding the properties from going to the auction with the hopes of doing some work on rehabbing them with some of this money that we've been capturing to be able to put some of those homes back on the tax roll through by way of sale, of allowing some residents that want to come out of the apartment complexes or what have you. I have a contractor that's almost finished with it. Well, they probably won't be finished until this spring. Over on Pipestone across from you, actually. She's going to be working with us, Project Need Foundation. And they're going to be doing some other projects, and I'm hoping that they're going to be coming before us. And I just want us to keep that in mind, and they're going to be incurring their costs up front.
Mr. Little?
Yes, agreeing with conceptually what you're saying, I want to recommend to you against trying to do any upfront lending. Because basically what you're talking about is putting money out before you even have a package approved. I mean, there is always the outside possibility it may not approve the package. How do you get your money back? I had that discussion with Ms. King also about a month, 5 weeks ago or so, and I explained to her, there's no way for us to advance your money or take some receipts from what really is your equity in the project and try to advance money on those. It's not the way, and that was a reason that we held up to get together, Teresa and I, to work out and come back to you with a process that would be fair and universal to everyone.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, that's all I need to know. Okay. See, next. 2.
So item 2 is the Project T Development and Reimbursement Agreement. We do have a member of the development team here if you have questions for her. So this has been reviewed by the city, but it has not been formally approved by the city because they want it to go before this board first. It has been reviewed by this board's legal counsel to determine if it's in compliance with Act 381. Fishbeck also did a review to make sure it was in compliance with the adopted Brownfield plan. So just a couple points of clarification. One, this is set up as a development and reimbursement agreement. So the development speaks to the larger project as a whole. The Brownfield plan speaks to phase 1 of development. So essentially it's the reimbursement portion that this board is reviewing and approving. I do want to make sure the board has all the attachments that were not included in your packet. So I have 3 to 4 copies if I give you mine. And we'll make sure they're included in the minutes. So if we could kind of share. Let me just tell you what these attachments are real quick. Can you guys share those too? And I can pass these out after I explain it. So mentioned within the development and reimbursement agreement, Exhibit A is a legal description of the property. So the first one is Project T as this overall project. So you'll notice I have handwritten overall project. So when you make your motion, it should include changing those words to overall project. And then the phase one description below that. The phase one description in the Brownfield plan says portions of, and it uses that general description from the GIS. This is much more specific, but it is the outline to phase one. Exhibit B is a project description, which includes the overall project, and Exhibit C is the approved site plan. So, Chair Hull, I can give you this copy.
Mr. Adams? Oh, thank you.
For the developer, if she's allowed, I do hope. Now that we have, brought the first phase through the Brownfield Authority, and there will be a slight recapturing. Yeah, okay, so,
Yes, recapture is
Wait.
limited to phase one. It will only be the taxes
Yeah.
produced by the 28
but the
duplexes.
question I'm about to ask is, I'm hoping that it's for the overall project. And that's, with this, decarbonization thing that's going on, and I think one of your partners was at the event, and she got a chance to talk with Miss Naomi about, how you all can fit that into the development. And I'm hoping that you're looking at that, at whatever it takes to save some of the tenants as much as possible, and yourself.
For phase two, which is the 4-story mixed-use building, we are actively working with a early learning childcare provider for a portion of the ground floor. Collectively, we are looking at an all-electric, healthy building, and we are working with Whirlpool's sustainability team to build in as many energy conservation features, education features that are possible for this building, but their sustainability team is worldwide, which is very exciting. So we're pulling in all kinds of new technology, and it's really just a matter of getting those funded in the building, but we want to maximize all of the environmental component, all the sustainability components as much as we can.
Okay, so you're aware of the rebates and all of that,
Yes, we've
It's
looked at the
available.
Inflation Reduction Act and the tax credits, looking at renewables for the building. Can't make any promises right now, but we're happy to come back and report as we price out the different components. But we are actively looking at that. It's very exciting.
Can I ask one more question? As it relates to the water, I mean, we know that it's not a problem now because lead lines have been replaced and there's none there as of yet. Is it possible to look at something in the form of an overall filtering system where the because we're about to go after some monies with this Justice 40 funding to be able to allow a homeowner, if they want to purchase, just like a rebate for electric stove or what have you, solar panels or what have you, for a water system that sits on the outer side by the meter. It cleanses that water as it travels through the dwelling. Is that something you would look at as well? Just wanted to throw that out there.
We are in the process of looking at some grant opportunities right now that, if awarded, would incorporate monitoring for certain metrics, including clean water, indoor air, and outdoor air, and would love to just keep communicating with the city as we try to outline what those features are, and whether we can obtain the financing to incorporate them. But that is specifically one of the things that we're looking at.
Okay, I appreciate that. We need to do everything we can to regain some trust so we can stop and get away from the bottles of water.
Right.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Hearing none?
Yeah.
Oh, you have
I got
one? Okay.
You mentioned something in reference to all electric. Because, personally, myself, I have electric heating. That's the highest cost of heating. It is electric.
We're looking at renewables to generate some of that electric power to offset that cost. But one of the parameters that we're looking at for the entire community is driving energy costs down through some of the measures that are covered by the tax credits and the greenhouse gas reduction fund, which is a huge pot of money that's coming down. But our main focus is going to be about how to create a healthy community from a financial and physical standpoint through these features. So we are going to be looking at that. Our goal is not to increase energy costs at all. We're very sensitive to that.
One more question?
Well, Charles, Pastor Charles,
I'm fit.
you okay? Is that it?
Yeah, Ms. Canara, there.
Commissioner, Bernard?
Yes, I want to, what was your reason for choosing electric over the gas? Is it because it's cleaner or what? What is the reason?
It really the move to renewables over fossil fuel use and trying to create a cleaner energy production situation and tying it to a lot of the funding that's coming down from the federal government right now. Both of those features.
Commissioner, you want to?
Yeah, just real quickly, because it's amazing that he asked that question, because I just learned yesterday from a meeting that I just happened into and talking with the gentleman afterwards, that something about transition lines that run through Benton Harbor that we need to be focusing on utilizing to cut down on our electrical use throughout this whole community and become self-sustaining, self-sufficient enough to sell our energy to the surrounding communities. And that's what those transition lines are for. So it's gonna be a minute. Some of us may not even be here when it happens, but the process needs to start now. And I'm hoping that Mr. Little and team is working on that. Are you aware of those though?
I was not, and I would love for us to be a part of any conversation we're invited to, because we're very interested in it.
Yeah, this is not an I or we thing. This is a we thing.
So we think.
And it needs to be happening up front. Yeah. In the first developing stages.
Right.
Because if you can run something that would save low income people something, or anybody else anything.
Right.
That's where it needs to happen. Thank you.
Okay, is that it?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Commissioner. Okay, thank you.
I just want to add that we are slated to close November 1st. So we're in the process of trying to communicate with all of our partners to coordinate a groundbreaking. So I'm sure you'll all be hearing more as we get closer to close.
Oh, sounds great. Thank you. Okay.
So I just wanted to add that this is a 3-part agreement that needs to be approved by this board, the city commission, and the development team. So if this board approves their portion, Chair Hull can go ahead and sign today. Then it will be on the agenda for the city commission on October 21st.
3 portion?
What's that?
Oh, okay.
Okay, yes.
Are we seeking other funding other than what's been granted already?
From the city,
No, the state, federal, or the state.
in phase 1, we have a large missing middle award from MISTA. We are working with IFF, which is a regional community development financial institution, Opportunity Resource Fund, SENER, and the EPA site assessment grant that went through the city actually helped provide the baseline assessment for the property in the beginning. So there's funding coming from multiple places.
So there's been a baseline done, okay?
When I say baseline, I mean they
Okay.
did a thorough assessment, a grid
Yeah,
assessment of
just
the property.
Yeah.
We will not file our baseline environmental assessment until right when we close, but I do have a draft of that report.
Okay, but you haven't sought any more funding since okay.
Outside of the project sources that were provided to Mr. Little, that's what we're closing with right now.
Okay, thank you.
And some of those initial due diligence efforts, the phase one, the BEA, those types of activities would be on the larger project. Those are still eligible for reimbursement within the plan, where the development is the phase one. Also includes some public infrastructure costs that are within the right of way. So that's all included in the Brownfield plan.
Thank you.
Anything else? Any other questions? Thank you so much. Mhm. All right,
So we would just need a motion to approve the development and reimbursement
Need a
agreement contingent with changing that language on Exhibit A to
motion?
overall project.
Need a motion?
Overall,
For that Exhibit A, there's two different legal descriptions there. So the one is for the overall project and the second one is just for the phase one of development.
You want both of them in one, or you gonna do it twice?
Because the development agreement speaks to the larger project for the development
So you need both
portion,
of them.
so both of them are included in there.
Okay. Need a motion?
make a motion
Okay, she got what she's gonna say. She's got,
overall.
you got what the motion's about, don't you?
Is
You
your,
have what
is
the
your motion
is
to
about.
approve the development
Yes.
and reimbursement agreement with this changing of the name in Exhibit A to overall project?
She makes a motion to do that.
Second.
Any other discussions concerning that? Motion and second? Hearing none, roll call.
Warren,
Yes.
Adams,
Yes.
Hull,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Kennard,
Yes.
Childs.
Yes.
Motion carries 6-0.
Thank you. Thank you all so much.
Mhm, thank you. Lisa?
Are we ready to move on?
Yes?
The next item on the agenda is a discussion on 275 Pipestone. Both Member Adams and Member Clark requested last month that the potential purchase of this property be on this month's agenda. So as a reminder, I included a memo that was prepared in May that was discussed by this board, as well as some meeting minutes from May that captured that discussion. Just for clarification, the meeting minutes are the last page of your packet. And I only included the portion that talked about this. So the highlighted portion is what's relevant. That's why the page appears to be cut off, because that's the only part I included.
Question, please.
Yes.
Discussions about who purchasing 275 Pipestone.
Discussion is about this authority in the city of Benton Harbor purchasing this property as a community asset for the community as a whole.
Can I summarize the discussion that was had to
Please.
date?
Yes.
Thank you.
So in this memo in May, it kind of talked about, if this authority wanted to purchase property, what does that look like? What are the steps involved? Are there other avenues for assessment opportunities? So I did reach out to Eagle for assessment. They said at this point in time, they would not be supportive of giving grant funds to this project because there would need to be a little bit more information of why they thought there was an environmental concern beyond just asbestos and building materials. As far as purchasing property, that usually would mean that the board is very strategic in choosing to do so if it aligns with your mission. Maybe a piece of property that, a developer might need for a larger project that aligned with city goals, that helps with job creation, all of that. With respect to the authority as a property owner, One, you'd want to be considerate of zoning considerations, but also as far as liability concerns. So it would be, if you just straight out purchased a property, it would be considered a voluntary acquisition, which means there would not, excuse me, would not be any liability exemptions like through the BEA process. So you would have to complete your due diligence efforts, and you'd want to complete a phase 1, a phase 2, and a baseline environmental assessment. And then there would be due care responsibilities, which just means you're not going to exacerbate the situation. So I just want the board to be aware of, if you're going to be a property owner, what that entails. So also, as far as it was just brought up to purchase this, we would have to check with a realtor. It's my understanding that there's more than one parcel associated with this property, and they might be under different ownership. So we'd have to see what that would look like.
Madam Chair, I would like to ask on behalf of the city that you hold on this until we can have some further discussion.
Yes. I agree, because even if we purchase property, Teresa, and we like your recommendations, we are not in business to manage, no, to take care of it. Absolutely, all the liability is gonna fall on the city. They gotta have, okay, since you say, but we hired you to make recommendations what will keep us up and out the water. Purchasing that property, it would be wonderful. I love the vision that the commissioner has. She has a great vision and it's wonderful. But if we purchase that property, the city has got to give us authority to purchase
Exactly.
that property.
Exactly.
And then we have shared responsibility, but right now, we have no way to take on that property by ourselves.
If I may,
And I agree, because first off, if we were going to go forward, I would want to have the city engineers look at it to be sure it's structurally sound.
I
I
got
would
all
wanna
of that
have
in
our
place.
Building department look into it to be sure that what's there. I'd like to have an informed picture of what it is we plan to do with it, how, when, how much money it's gonna cost. There are too many unanswered questions, and right now, purchasing it would do nothing but take a taxable property off the tax rolls. Let's hold until we have a chance to discuss this and
Now,
find
if
out
I
what
may.
we're talking about.
Now, if I may,
Okay, yes, you're next.
there are millions of dollars sitting, waiting for us to apply. This is not something that the city is taking on for itself, by itself, nor this authority. This is something that we're gifting to the people of this community for job training, for daycare, for a whole number and host of things, for people that are up here that seem to be lost. We've had millions of dollars coming through here. Right down there by the river, it started down here. 200 Paw is sitting in shambles. And the other one up there is sitting in shambles too, the armory. Millions of dollars been coming down here, and all we get is, we don't have a workforce. Well, somebody need to be in charge around here, need to be trying to find out why. Because we've had millions of dollars coming in for job training, and then when the question is asked, all we get is, well, they're on this system and that system, and they only work a few hours. Somebody in charge around here in Ben Harbor need to be finding out why there is no workforce. We have people that need to be trained, and I have some professional people, mechanical engineers, willing to teach some of these people up here on this hill in this area and open it up to the whole community on how to build and take care of solar panels and a whole host of other things. Because some of them don't even like to come downtown. And because they know they're not wanted. But see, these are the ones that are forgotten. And we're not asking, no. There has been a nonprofit that's been created for this community, that will take on the liability and everything else due diligently that comes along with the purchase. And this project has some support from the commission. And I make a motion that it goes before the commission for their consensus for yea or nay.
She got a motion on the floor.
Well, I'll
No, she's got a motion on the floor. And
I'm not clear on the
just a
motion.
moment, she's got a motion on the floor.
the motion to purchase 275 Pipestone to go into,
It dies for lack of second. Anybody second it? Now, go ahead. You didn't get a second. Go ahead.
I say,
Okay. Got a second. Now, you have to take this before the city commission. That's what she wants to do. And let them figure it out.
may I say something, please? We have millions of dollars that are sitting at our disposal, and I'm not talking about the community change grant. I'm talking about large pots of money for the next 10 years, money that's sitting in front of me that me and other people are applying for. Funds that's coming in phases for exactly a project just like this. Somebody is keeping the people of Ben Harbor at bay and sleep, and I want to know why. When there's some of us that's trying to do the right thing now. See, you're right, Mr. Little. You said this division is larger than just me. It ain't about me, but I am Ben Harbor. And I care about Ben Harbor's people. And I'm tired of seeing them sleepwalking and nobody else saying anything but putting them down.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Warren.
I'm sorry.
So I would like, Mr. Little brought up a couple of concerns about the city. I wanted to know, it might be too late to ask this question now, but I wanted to know what next steps would be. Because through the chair, you had mentioned that the city had discussed it, and so what would the next steps be would you need to hear Commissioner Adams' vision, or I just wanted to know, like, what, if we wanted to go in the right order, like, what would those next steps be?
I think it's more than just hearing the vision. I applaud and appreciate your commitment and interest, but when it finishes, it's still got to be practical. We talk about millions. We don't have any millions to do anything we want to do with. It's a process out there where we go after it, just like we're trying to go after this grant. And as far as this business about why people aren't here, look, it's simple. You got a population of 9,100. I didn't put the population there. And the breakdown of the population is 36% of them are 19 years and under, and 22% of them are over 65. Now, and of the remainder, there's 22% on fixed income. No matter what any of us say, we don't change that. The reality is, until the population increases and the mix is different, there's not going to be a workforce, and there's not going to be a training force either. But I just say that let's talk about what it is that you want to try to do in this building. Who's going to operate it? How much are we going to have to put into it in order to bring it to where we want it to go, and how it's going to get repaid?
Just a moment. Did you have something to say, Mr. Clark?
And in fairness, I gotta say to you, if it was a go before the commission now, I would recommend to them not to.
Not really. I just want to know, because I have been around the building a lot, and I'm trying to see and put my head around it, and she would understand more because I'm just coming on as a commissioner. More maybe about the assessment of what it would cost to get it up and get it ready for the use and cost.
Okay.
Oh, I thought Mr.
Pastor Josh, you want something to say?
Yes, I definitely have something to say, because I got the building next door.
Oh,
Don't tell it to
And it's old, and, there's a number of questions in reference to the building. Great idea, but all those things have to be assessed, structural engineer, and the cost of maintaining it, and all of that. And I say, let us look at those items and bring it before us, and then we'll have a better concept, because if we jump off into it, we'll end up in a situation that may be too much for us to handle. And that's what happened to us in our building when we relocated out here. I'm looking to put up something next door
okay.
and get out of that building
Mhm.
that I'm in,
If I,
because it's old and everything.
okay, if I may,
It's a motion on the floor, make it brief.
yours is next. But
No.
visualize this, visualize this.
Just a
If you
moment, don't
start,
talk to
if
him.
you start, no, if you start building on your side, you have a place over here. This church is going to be for all nonprofits that want to play a part in the growth of the community.
Once you get it to that part, yes.
Exactly.
Okay.
I'll have I'm going to submit some things to Ms. Searles
There's a,
and get it prepared for you.
there's a motion on the floor. Now, to purchase the building. Call the roll.
Can I add to discussion or would you like roll call?
Can you what?
Can I add to the discussion or would you like roll
Yeah, you
call?
can answer the discussion.
So, I mean, I think the vision here aligns with your goals for community benefit of job training and creating safe space for childcare and things like that.
Mhm.
But the board also has a responsibility to determine what's the best way to achieve those goals. So one consideration would be partnering with a developer that has the means to cover these costs and not taking on those costs yourselves, but perhaps marketing the property to those right types of entities that could do the development. Also, if the board is successful in getting the EPA grant, you could use those funds to do some of the assessment needs. That's an unknown. But it would be my recommendation that the board answers some questions or considers marketing to someone who has the means to accomplish this. But that just adds to your discussion. You do have a motion on the floor.
I'd like to say, put it in the, after we do the motion, take it to the city and put it in committee. And what committee would that go into? at the
And
city?
I would totally agree, so Miss Naomi can come and give a presentation.
That put in the city.
The
committee.
partner.
All right, a roll call. Roll call.
Warren,
I'm not 100% sure on what I'm voting on. Can we clarify? Are we saying that I'm voting to push this to the commission? Like, what is
To
the?
purchase.
the motion was to purchase the
Yeah.
property.
Okay, I'm yes.
And this is the only way that we can get these funds. We have to own the property.
Why don't we have a copy of whatever grants you're talking about that
Yes.
says all of
You
this?
should have all of it.
I maybe should, but I don't.
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay, I'm talking on a motion.
So, yeah, right now, the motion was to purchase the property at 275 Pipestone. We've heard from Warren Adams.
Everything either.
She calls you to vote.
I'm sorry, yes.
Hull,
No, definitely no.
Clark,
Yes.
Kennard,
I'm not clear, so I don't know what to do. I don't want to create.
Just vote yes.
did you make a motion? I'm sorry, I didn't hear it.
Yeah.
Yes? Childs?
Yes.
Okay, so motion carries. So,
Just a moment, Teresa.
Motion carried.
Motion carries, okay. But Teresa, we just said, put it in the city's committee.
the motion was to purchase the property.
The motion is to purchase the property.
But it can go through committees first.
But it needs to go to committee.
Right, we'd have to talk about what that even looks like, because we don't even know if it's multiple people selling the property, what the price point is. So
Did you
now
not
we'd have to
get-
look in
did
nice
you not
steps.
get what the-
Can we still do that?
Yes, we can, that's what.
I mean, you have to, because now, I mean, that would be
Right.
part of going through the motions of purchasing it, so.
Why is it,
Just a
somebody,
moment, just a
somebody
moment.
answer this question.
No, hey, listen, you have the floor. We're gonna cut this. This is done and settled. Next item. We don't need no more talk on there.
Yeah, because I'm tired of Negroes being.
You got the motion to purchase the property. Is that what y'all wanted? You got it. So let's don't have no more discussion and put it in committee. Yeah, next.
Okay, next we have an EPA grant application update, so.
Sir.
We don't have anything in your packet for here. The board voted last month that we would apply for these assessment grant funds. The application is due November 14th. We need to have something to the city committee by next week, so we're moving very diligently. So Fishbeck has taken advantage of the EPA's climate and environmental justice screening tools. We're going to focus on census tracts 3 and 4. I do want to be clear that this would be a citywide grant, so properties can be assessed anywhere in the city. But for the purposes of the application, those will show that we are assessing those areas with the greatest needs, and moves forward towards combating environmental justice efforts, such as creating jobs in those disadvantaged areas. We've already submitted a letter to Eagle saying it's our intent to apply, and could they please support those efforts? That's something that's needed. We met with Mr. Little, so he does have a sam.gov and grants.gov account. He's listed as the government business entity. And then Michael Clark is the electronic business. So Michael Clark is actually going to be the one who will need to submit the grant application. The one thing I wanted to discuss about this board, hopefully today, is it's a good idea to mention any community partners that can help you with your goals. So some suggestions might be the DDA, Cornerstone Alliance, those kind of economic development groups that can help in your area. I would love suggestions on if there's local nonprofit or neighborhood groups that align with your missions that maybe you want listed that are successful about bringing about projects.
If I may.
Oh, Commissioner.
The one that was created for the community that's looking for board members and committees, which would be Project Need Foundation. And open it up, actually advertise and see if there's any others that would like to come on board.
So
Any
it
other
wouldn't be
nonprofits.
that they're like a collaborative partner.
Exactly.
It would be that you're going to speak with them after you have the grant and kind of
Right.
say, what kind of needs, do you have examples of project sites that we'd want to look at?
Capacity building, I mean, it's all playing
Yes.
and coming together. It's all about capacity building, envisioning, and building and growing together.
Do you have a contact at the Project Needs Foundation?
269 470 1177.
And the contact name?
Mary Alice Adams.
Oh. I walked into that one, didn't I?
Walk right into it.
Okay.
I should give you the example.
Anyone else have community partners that they
No.
wanted to suggest?
I'll get you some.
Partners?
I'll get you some.
Sure, yes, okay. Community partners.
What is it about again?
So essentially, the EPA likes to see that their dollars, one, are going to disadvantaged communities. They also want to see that their dollars can be successful. So they like to partner with community agencies, economic development groups that are successful in moving projects. They like to see if there's any other leverage funding, either state or federal sources that have been managed well. All of these things go forward to say, we're going to do good work and we have capacity to actually do it.
And
Oh, just a moment. He's got the floor. You gotta say what you gotta say, cause
So
people can't be here all night.
one of developer, well, group I would like to add to that list is Ben Harbor Community Development Court.
There you go.
I can share you that information after this meeting, the contact.
That would be great.
Okay. Anybody else? Anything? Commissioner Warren? She said she had to leave.
5:20, some of it.
Okay. All right. Anything else, Teresa?
No, that is it.
So this is the grant that we discussed last month?
Correct.
Okay. Because
So
we
we're moving forward. We
Okay.
should have summaries next week. Anything that goes to the city committees will be forwarded to this
Okay,
board.
but initially, when we put that forth, I thought that the city of Benton Harbor was going to be purchasing, well, not purchasing, because we could have got it free. The Modern Plastics property that Harbor Shores now have proud ownership of. If in fact, that can still be a part of.
So this assessment grant, if you're successful in getting it, and we will be applying for 500,000, it'll be a grant period of 4 years.
Okay.
You can use that on any property in the city. There's an
So-
eligibility requirement, but it is citywide. So you don't feel like you have to know before we apply what sites you're gonna use.
Right,
That can absolutely be decided afterwards.
right. You haven't submitted it yet, have you?
No, but we're diligently writing it. We need to have a bulk of it written by next week.
Okay,
The
okay.
application deadline is November 14th.
And I might add, just as a point of information, it's not needed for that project. That's already taken
Okay.
care of.
Well, I know that they had it in the newspaper, so I don't know whoever wrote it must not have known either. But
All right.
if
Anything else?
I may,
Mhm.
I guess I'd like to know, because I forgot that this one right here was for, what you call it, disadvantaged? Explain to me what that is, Mr. Little, or Teresa, disadvantaged.
What is it, all this? Is it all this?
Thank you.
We're talking about now?
Yeah, we were just discussing it.
So in their climate and environmental justice screening tool, they use metrics for like poverty rate. They've got levels of disease such as asthma, diabetes, heart disease, low life expectancy rates. They look at housing costs, if there's a low medium income in the area. They look at education levels, proximity to Superfund sites. I don't know how many different metrics there are, but they include all of those.
I think that it's important though that other people listening, not just, and that actually can hear exactly the meaning of what disadvantage means. Because there's some in this room that are disadvantaged.
If I might, I'd like to help with that.
Well,
For
I
the
got it.
exact same reasons that we were talking about as to why the city doesn't have a real workforce or a training force. Disadvantage means a community that is generally low or no income, marginalized, relatively uneducated by comparison to most cities. And basically the statistics and so forth that make Benton Harbor's, the census tracts in Benton Harbor come out to where 78.79% are considered low and moderate income.
Yes.
Justice 40 funds are for
don't
disadvantaged
speak
communities across this country.
Yes, that's right. Okay.
Disadvantaged.
So we don't need any action. That was just an
No.
update.
Teresa, you are our person to give us recommendations. And with this board, we sit here and we talked about all the things that was not really gave us at this time was not really the right thing to do with all the things that we have to go through to buy this property.
Oh, are you going back to the 275
I'm
Pipestone?
making a statement, yes.
Okay.
And you told us that at this time, the things that we'll get ourselves into, what's not good that we do at this time, that it needs to have more looked into at this time. And all the board members said they didn't know what to do. Mr. Childs said that it's a lot of pressure because he's got a building. It's a lot you gotta go through, a lot you have to do after you get it. And it takes a lot of grant, a lot of money, a lot of going to. The vision is perfect. I've always loved Miss Adams' vision. She has a heart for this community. But stepping this board into something that's going to be humongous that we can't deal with unless we get outside coalitions to help us.
Manchester.
Okay, but that has to be done through with the city. We cannot handle this alone. We're not autonomy as we think we are. You are hired to give us recommendations as to what we can and should not step into at this time.
I
Although
tried
it's out there
including
for
my
us.
recommendation during discussion.
So what?
I included my
Yes,
recommendation not to move forward with
Yes, you
purchase
did.
at this
Right.
point
No,
in time.
you did
We
say
could
not to
go
move
back to
forward.
this conversation, but you're stuck on it.
No, I'm making my
Chair,
comments. It's time for comments.
Okay.
And you're gonna make some next.
Okay.
You're gonna make some next. As chair of the board, I'm gonna make these comments.
Okay,
As chair.
yes, ma'am.
Now, I would not sit here and put this board through something that we cannot handle in the future. We have to go along with, we're not big enough. We're not big enough. We need coalition and make it plain. We're not big enough to do this alone. Now, when you take it to the committee, hopefully they'll see it. If the city takes it on, if the city know there's some matching grants, if the city's gonna work to get these grants, if the city's gonna help do this, if the Reese is gonna help to get these grants, or somebody's gonna help do these matching funds to do all those things that Pastor Charles just talked about need to be fixed before we can put people in there. It's a lot of liability in buying this building, a lot of liability. So don't sit here. Nobody in this city wants this city to move forward any more than I do. I've been working in this city for years. I've been here, I'm 84 years old, everybody know it. And I want things to happen, but I don't want to put the city in jeopardy because we want to rush because we got a vision that we can't match it at this time. There's times we can do it. Let's be practical. Just because one person wants it, she got a beautiful vision. Always have that. And we all have the same vision. We all want the young people to change. We all want housing. We all want people to have things to do in the community. We all want this. None of them have no more vision for this than I do. That's why I'm here. That's why I'm working. Ain't nobody paying me to come out here and do this. Ain't nobody paying them to come and do it.
Okay.
But, okay, so we must be practical, and we have been so far. We have been so far. Now, we cannot, that's a nice building, but you heard what the pastor said? It's an old building. It's gotta be assessed. All that thing has to be done, all those things. If we buy it, then we gotta go find some more money. We gotta find this, we gotta get assessed, we gotta do all these things. Now, she's.
I've been on my job.
Yes, she has, and she's real good about it. I don't have no problem with her. I think she's excellent. But we got to sit and see the liability of what we're gonna get into. And that's all I'm saying, that these board members got to understand the liability. I cannot sit here, that's why I voted no.
Okay.
And everybody else didn't know what they was voting for, and you had just told them what the liability was. The city manager just told them what the liability was. And everybody else didn't know what they was voting for, and everybody voted yes. Right now, we're not able to back, but it's passed. So send it on to committee. All right, Mr. Little.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that
Comments, you got a comment?
I'm
She
here
has to go.
and
Oh,
I
I
yield
thought it
to
was
the
members'
commission.
comments.
It is.
I'll
Members'
yield to the
comments.
commission. Go
I
ahead.
need to hear.
It's members' comments.
So I want to make it clear that I was clear on what to vote for because prior to my vote, I asked Therese to clarify. So I was clear. The next thing I want to call out is when you're dealing with real estate of any kind, if we mentioned a vision, if you wait 5 or 6 months, what if the real estate is not even available? So what I feel like is based on not everyone's concern, based on the concerns, that means you get a move on. So I don't think it's too late. Therese had a great idea to look for a developer to partner with. Can't we still do that?
Yeah.
That shouldn't be off the table. Commissioner Adams has stated she had a lot of information. Can she present that? That should not be off the table. So I feel like, we can sit here for 3 or 4 hours. I can't, but maybe some people can sit here and discuss that it was so negative what happened. But how can we now look at that and say, well, whether you agree with it or not, it's passed. What can we do to get the wheels moving and get it going in the right direction? What can we do at this point? So that's why I had asked Mr. Little earlier what next steps were. Maybe we can, if we don't get it now, find out what next steps are so we can get the ball rolling.
Okay,
But I have to leave, sorry.
Okay,
Well, what I wanted to
I'll talk to
share, one
I'll talk
thing
to
that I
you.
did not say earlier, I'm already working with a developer on that location. But beyond that, I think this board needs to take account of itself and that you voted for going forward on the building. What's the price? Nobody talks about the price. What, does anybody know
It
What's
started
their
off at
cost
198, it said
to
175 now.
redevelop?
I saw something online that said 175, but I don't know if that's the entire
And it's still
parcel.
negotiable.
I have been
Yeah,
told that
yeah,
there might be
yeah.
multiple owners, so I don't know what that process looks like.
And there are a lot of issues
Liabilities.
in this
Well,
whole
every time you go talk
It's
about
the
what's
only
the
thing
black
we
folks,
haven't
it's
done.
liability,
It's the only
it's
thing we
fraud,
haven't
and all
done.
that.
It's
I'm
the
not
only
saying-
thing Brownfield haven't done. We done done
I know
everything.
one thing, underserved folks is gonna be served.
If they want to, sir. Go ahead, Mr. Little.
I think I'm done. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
All right, Clark.
Well, I'm looking at, I think this is a good purchase and,
Yes, y'all can do it.
and we not buying it today, we ain't buying tomorrow. We can, I agree with Commissioner Warren, and we can look and see what that stuff, what the price, what stuff look like. Mr. Little just said he was looking at, at the building, so as the city got some type of interest in it, he looked.
Why don't we put the money down?
And I'm looking at, we don't have to buy it today. I think in the near future, we can buy the building. Right now, we can get it assessed, see how much, talk to the owner, or find out if that local owner, and find it to claim it, excuse me. So I didn't look at, we voted yes, and I was curious on what we were voting on too as well.
All right.
I guess it told me right here.
Yeah.
Right here. I guess it told me. But that's what you
I
said.
like to be a person of reason,
Yes.
and I want to be sure that people understand because I like to do what is right.
Right.
Because if I don't do what is right and follow the right direction of where I am, I've been in that building, I've cleaned that building, I know every almost aspect of that building. If we go to the other side of that building, there's both sides there to that building, it's 2 sides. One side is fair, it's manageable. But one side is leaking, there's mold that's been in there for years.
Yeah.
And for the leaking of the roof and so much that has been gone on with that building for so long. We got to know if we got the money to match to clean up the mold and restore those windows because they're crumbling. And it's beautiful. If this building had only been just kept up,
Oh, yeah.
it would have been such a
Beautiful building.
beautiful place. But I see so much, and I don't want to say, yeah, well, you the one who voted yes for it, and now look at what's falling. I just like to keep myself where I'm not gonna get blamed for something later.
Right.
I want to do what's right. And if I could have the ones that are investing in it to take a tour through it and take a close look at what it's gonna cost to repair and get this up to where it is gonna be usable. Cause it really had a lot going for it. Had a gymnasium, showers, and a big kitchen,
Got a
big
banquet hall.
stage and everything. So much going for it. But the neglect that has gotten down through the years, I'm so afraid. And I'm not even in the doing repairs or flipping things. That's why I have my questions.
That's right.
I don't have any problem
No,
with
no,
how
you're
you
entitled to
decide.
your, right.
But that was my problem is one. And me being a part of the Brownfield, I want to make sure that I'm making the right decision as a member.
Yeah,
Because I have to think about
Yeah.
what we're gonna put ourselves into responsibility if something doesn't go
Yeah.
right. And so I want to do the right thing. That's all I want to
That's
do.
right.
And then God is gonna bless me for doing what I know is the right
we
thing.
bringing God.
No, I'm gonna bring God in because
Yeah.
All
He's
right.
the head.
Okay, thank
So
you.
that's what I
Mr.
felt.
Chairman,
That's why I was thinking.
Yes, I voted yes, because it's not all over yet. When it goes into the committee
Committee,
and it looks at all of that
Yeah.
information,
that's good.
and then with the input coming from, Mary Alice, and then all of that will determine really if we really should go forward or not. So that's why I voted yes to,
At least.
at least let's look at it.
Yeah.
But once we get all that information, come out of committee and look at all that other stuff, it may not even make any sense to do it. So
Right.
that's where I'm at on that.
Wasting your time.
So
Very
my
good.
comment is,
She said waste that time.
my comment is, first and foremost, this isn't about Mary Alice.
No.
I have more years behind me too, Mr. Little, than I do in front of me.
Yeah.
But I'm fearing the generation that's behind us that don't have anything to keep them safe, and they're out here clowning with each other. You can't have enough safe, clean, green spaces for these children. You cannot. Manchester Beardwell thought that was a perfect place to do exactly what they do. But for some reason, somebody held them up for what, 20-some years now. And we don't have a workforce. And that's one of the reasons why. Because some people sit back and, I ain't gonna say that, deny their own people. But I got the floor.
Okay,
Not done.
I'm not stopping you.
I'm not done.
Okay.
I have
But I got
worked, I
something to say
have
too.
worked and been in too many meetings, allowing God to use and utilize me in order my steps and putting all of this together. And he has done exactly that.
Yes.
And no is not an option, because now is the time, and now is the season to do what needs to be done. And I'm not just talking about just the people up over here. That I see sleepwalking, I see the babies with basketball rims, 4 and 5 of them on one street. When there's a big old lot over there that can be paved, and bring them together and teach them how to respect one another. See, because when you don't do that, you get shootings and stuff. Okay? And I'm tired of them fed up and trying to do what's right. I'm not talking about the city bearing the burden of nothing, nor this board. But I specifically said here, 2002, and approved a $500 million development for corporations because I allowed a consultant entice us into thinking that, well, this year you're going to get this many million, this year you're going to get this many million. That hasn't happened. But I could see us recapturing some of this money and doing exactly what needs to be done in this day for the people of the inner city of Benton Harbor, Michigan, and giving back to them a safe, green place and space. I have talked to Whiteman and some other organizations that know that it's a good fit for exactly that. I grew up right across the street. All of this down here was full of mold. All them in our district, a lot of this stuff, old, dilapidated, full of mold. Guess what? Their Brownfield helped them to recapture some of their tax. Now, we ain't trying to recapture nothing. We're just making a purchase. And other organizations are going to do the rest.
Yes, okay. Now, thank you. Now, is anything else we get ready to go? I concur, you wanna say something?
I moved that we
Just a
adjourn.
moment.
Second.
Miss Kanal, I agree with you 100%. And with what Miss Adams said, she is so on it, and she's right. We did everything she's talked about. We had workforce training, we had the armory open, we needed people to run it. I don't know what happened. This young man knows what happened. We had games, we had everything for the young people. We had job training, we had grants for them to have job training. All these things, nothing. All these things we have done and want to do more. But as Commissioner Knight said, let's be realistic. So that's all I'm saying.
You made a motion to adjourn.
Yes,
I
I did.
support it.
Well, okay, we're gonna move on. Thank you.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right.
Okay.
Meeting is adjourned at 5:33.
Who wants to be the next general?
Chair Hall, can I have you sign this development agreement?
But seriously, if there could be something that happens where you might need to use a portion over there that's usable for service. I mean, while yours is being worked on. I mean, that whole area over there. We need to be working a square mile.
Yeah, I agree.
Pipestone used to be so beautiful, and guess what? It can be again. And that store on the corner, we gonna open that up. We gonna sell some fresh food out of there,
That's right.
some fresh healthy food.
Put it in the economic development. Who's on the economic development? Teresa.